The remake of a 2018 Danish film with the same name, Netflix's The Guilty, has some heavy hitters behind it. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new Netflix film, The Guilty. This is streaming now and stars Jake Gyllenhaal, who executive produces as well, and it's directed by Antoine Fuqua, who was first brought to prominence with Training Day, but has since made movies like The Equalizer, The Magnificent Seven, and some non-Denzel properties as well, including Jake Gyllenhaal's own Southpaw. So before we get into the specifics of this film, I want to welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this review. Please consider subscribing down below there, hitting that notification bell maybe, and if you want to like and comment on this video as well, that helps the channel too. So let's get into this movie, talking about, like I said, The Guilty. And this is a direct remake of the 2018 Danish film of the same name. In fact, after I watched this, I sort of just read up on, okay, what are the differences? Because I've seen several of the original versions and then the American remake. And, most of the time they're okay to not quite as good. But this one seems to toe the line almost exactly to what that original was. There's a few changes that I think I can talk about without being spoilery. But for the most part, this is kind of directly lifted. A lot of the dialogue is exactly the same as that Danish version. So, this is a case of you may not need to see both. If you've seen the Danish one, great. You probably can give this one a pass. But if not, try this one out because we know and love Jake Gyllenhaal. He's, I think, one of our greatest working actors today. And so always fun to watch on the screen. And this is mainly kind of a solo movie. There's other people in it around him. But let's get into the plot first. So basically, the entire film takes place over the course of one morning, almost in real time, not quite, but almost, at a 911 dispatch call center. So Gyllenhaal plays this policeman who has been demoted and actually has a court hearing or trial the next day that he's preparing for, but we don't know until really the end of the movie what he got demoted for, what the story is with that. That's part of the mystery of the movie. But his name is Joe Baylor, and we get little drips and drabs throughout the movie about, okay, well, obviously something's going on in his personal life, and we find out more and more as we go on. But the main storyline here in this movie, the main plot is that there is a caller who seems to be in grave danger. But the more he dives into this story, Riley Keough voices this gal, Emily Lighton, and other voices include Peter Sarsgaard and Ethan Hawke, because most of them are on the telephone, either, as part of this particular incident, or, Ethan Hawke plays his police captain, because, of course, Gyllenhaal's character is just dialing up all these different people and saying, can you help me? Can you help this woman? She's got children at home. He ends up talking to the girl, who's like 6 years old. And so unraveling this kind of mystery as we go along, but it gets very intense. This dude Joe has some anger issues. He's flying off the handle at the drop of a hat between his coworkers and his own boss at the 911 call center. So we don't get a huge glimpse really into who Joe is, other than kind of an anger management case, like, something needs to be done about him kind of a thing. So we can sort of assume what some of the court stuff is about that they're referring to. But some of the differences from this one and the original Danish version, from what I read, is they've given Joe a wife and a child. They are estranged. In fact, they have not been together for 6 months, so she's got custody of their child. But that was added in for the Gyllenhaal character. And then there's a little bit of a distrust of police here. There's like a Bill Burr plays a caller, at a nightclub, and he's like, oh, you're effing useless, this, that, and the other thing. So there's that sort of added element too to kind of Americanize the story, and that makes sense to me. I am not positive really that we needed the stuff about his family. It was one scene, and I mean they could have mentioned it, but we have a scene of him actually like calling and speaking to the ex, and she's like, "You need to leave me alone." I don't know. Was it necessary for character development? Perhaps. But I think the main crux of the story really is this incident that he's following along very heavily with and trying to get with Child Protective Services and the Highway Patrol and his own, members of the police force that he is, co-workers with still. Um, but this is another sort of showcase for Gyllenhaal. There's only really, I think, maybe four other live people in the movie. Everybody else is over the telephone, and it all takes place really in just a couple of rooms. There's like one or two very small scenes where they go outside the call center and sort of show what's going on. They have the California wildfires as a backdrop. Of course, that's a difference as well from the Danish version. But that partially explains why they can't dedicate the entire force to this one incident, because they've got a lot going on. And that was sort of a nice touch, because it makes it believable. Not only, okay, well, this guy Joe, he's gone off the rails, he's got a court hearing tomorrow, he's obviously a cop that's gone bad, but oh, maybe he's not bad because he's trying so hard, with this family and with this incident. But why won't people help him? Well, partially it's because of these California wildfires. So I think that kind of makes sense too, in that area. But overall, this is more of an actor's showcase for sure. It reminded me a little bit actually of Joseph Gordon-Levitt's 7500, which came out right as the pandemic was starting last year. But this one was actually filmed during the pandemic. And it's funny because Gyllenhaal bought the rights to this story in, a couple of years ago before COVID. But, it makes perfect sense to film this movie at this time. In fact, Fuqua had come in contact with somebody with COVID, so he was quarantined and ended up directing the whole thing from a van, and just sort of giving directions that way. But look, Jake Gyllenhaal is a complete pro, and as one of the executive producers of the film, certainly knows how to get a great reaction from an audience. And I think he does that here. But I think this movie is really missing a couple of key components to make it, great. Like when I think of some of the great, one-handers out there, Ryan Reynolds and Buried, Tom Hardy and Locke, and these are movies where really it's one person the entire movie, and it works. Here, I think he's a little too anger oriented for us to fully get behind him. Like we look, we know there's issues in his past. He's been demoted. We got it. But, the fact that he's getting so wildly angry at everyone around him, it never goes into the comedic side of things, but it is a little over the top. And I prefer my Gyllenhaal a little more nuanced in something like a Southpaw or like Nightcrawler is a great example where he's certainly crazed and he has maybe not anger issues, but some sort of psychosis. But it's sort of downplayed a little bit here. It's just very big, and I get the urgency of, okay, we got to help this person. We got to, get on this 911 call. But I think he takes it a little over that edge sometimes. And again, I'm not sure that we needed that one scene with him calling his ex, and I think we got enough of a sort of background on this character, because it's a movie where you don't need to know everything because there is a big mysterious element to it. So I'm not sure that helped either. But overall, I think this is a good watch. It's another great acting showcase for Jake Gyllenhaal. He performs the hell out of this role, and I sort of do like these very tight, closed space type movies, and I love a real-time movie. And like I said, this isn't quite 100% real-time, but it's certainly in that vein. I would say over the 90 minutes, it probably is only maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours in this morning. So anyway, I'm going to leave The Guilty with a B. that's going to do it. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Dan Reviews It. Bye.